you very much, Senator Moss. Chairman Moss, I wanted the opportunity to sort of go through in some detail in regards to the changes in the substitute, since this is a fairly complicated issue. I wanted to make sure that I had Chris up here with me, so if I misspoke or I needed some additional information, he could kick me and help me out. In front of you, you will obviously have the substitute, but you will also have an abridged version of the CRA PowerPoint that was presented to us in April of last year. I wanted to just point out a couple items as I go through my testimony from that, just to sort of refresh your memory, since it's been over a year since we had that presentation. But the first page is the document, of that document is what I want to talk about really briefly, is CRA came to our committee, obviously did the same type of presentation in the House, and they outlined 4 items of challenges that they were having in the implementation of managing marijuana here in the state. One of them was around enforcement. The second was around increasing supply, as well as then the corresponding falling prices, and then unlicensed illicit activity in the black market, and then the proliferation of intoxicating hemp-derived products. So those were the pieces there. We were able to do 2 pieces of that. Senator Polhenke led the charge on the proliferation of intoxicating hemp-derived products. You might remember we passed that out of this committee as well as the chamber, and is sitting in the House. And then one version of one of the items that CRA asked for, which was the having a state lab, so we could ensure that those who are testing the products also got tested, and to ensure that that there wasn't any illicit activity happening by those that are in the testing field. We passed my bill out of the committee as well as out of the chamber. That bill required a 3/4 vote. We met that obligation. Now it's sitting in the House to be addressed. But so in front of you, just to remind you, 597 started off doing a few things, trying to address all of these issues. But one of the issues that we wanted to talk about specifically was enforcement. So currently right now, if there's an egregious activity by a licensee that creates a public health issue, CRA lacks the ability to be able to suspend their license. You might remember the Veritas lab situation that we had a couple years ago, where the lab was caught making inaccurate information on their testing, and CRA was required to take them to court, and it took over a year to sort of deal with that process. And so in Section 7, we added language in the substitute that would give CRA the ability to suspend a license when there is for emergency action, if it is to support the risk to public health, safety, or welfare. The second thing was that they had asked for from CRA specifically was the testing lab. As I mentioned, we have done that. I've also included it in this package as well, because not knowing what the House will do, if they want to only do one vote of a bill, I wanted to give them that opportunity for that. So you will see that in Section 7 as well. All of that language is in correspondence with the bill that we voted on, 704. And then the biggest thing is that we heard from CRA is that somebody could be a licensee, not pay their taxes, not pay their excise tax, not pay any of the state taxes. They can currently right now owe the state money, close their license, and then reapply for a new license and not have any obligation where CRA can say no to them. In our liquor control and other licensees, if you as an individual are, that goes with you. But because we're dealing with the constitutional, the initiative that was put in front of the voters, that is not something that CRA has the ability to do. So in Section 9 and 9E, it requires that a licensee have to pay all of their state taxes. And so even if they're trying to open up a new license, they would have had to been required to pay back all those fees over there. So we have seen that happen. The CRA has given us examples where somebody has done that. They've not paid their wholesaler. They've just gone up, closed their license, and then reopened it over there. This would stop that from happening. Why this is important more than ever before is because of what we did with the road funding piece. Now that we have a 24% wholesale tax, I could see this becoming more and more of an issue. And if we want to make sure that that is a stable revenue, which again, we might be a little bit low on that revenue to begin with, we need to make sure that these protections are there. Obviously, if you see go back to that PowerPoint, if you go to the second and third pages, you will see where the growth has been in licenses. It is not with processors and retailers. They've stayed pretty consistent. You've seen a significant growth in the number of licenses for the people that are growing marijuana and then supplying it out to these retailers. And therefore, on the second page, you'll see the increase of supply and then the significant falling of prices that are there. When you look at other states that have recreational marijuana, about half of them have developed some level of caps in their communities. And so what this bill does, just to remind you, we've not made any changes to it, but to remind you, it puts a cap for every 10,000 individuals. You can have one license. So if you're a community like East Lansing, there's 50,000 people, you can have 5 licenses. Now, if your community has, because of different things have happened, if let's say East Lansing had 10 licenses, this bill will grandfather those 10 licenses in, those extra 5 licenses. Those will be there that allow that individual, if they want to sell that license, if they decide to get out of the business and so forth, that they will do that. So I wanted to not hurt anyone or any community that has already gone over that, but we wanted to create a cap here. And we do that in a variety of ways with liquor licenses, with restaurants, and that was something that we saw here. We heard this specifically from the Marijuana Association. And then the second thing for the grower community, because obviously with the new wholesale tax, we want to ensure that this community is fruitful. We have put a moratorium on new growers, but it allows the growers that are already in place to build out. So if there is a grower that's there who wants to build a new facility in another community or a new facility in their own community, this allows them to get additional licenses that they can attach to theirs. So I didn't want to stop anybody from their growth, but it does for a period of time stop somebody from coming in into the marketplace, because I do believe we need to stabilize that market, especially as we have this new tax. And so we do that here just as a reminder. And then we wanted to ensure that there were penalties that were specifically added here for people who wanted to avoid paying any penalties or their taxes here as well. And so in section 9B, we've added some language there that treats this industry more like alcohol to achieve a fully competitive marketplace here in Michigan. And then the other piece, if we move into the next category of unlicensed illicit activity, obviously with the new wholesale tax, we're worried, and we've heard from people who've suggested that that there might be now a new black market that gets created, or the existing black market might expand in this space. And so we want to ensure that those who are doing it and doing it appropriately are rewarded, and those who are doing things illegally will address those in penalties. And so we've done a few things here. We've taken several steps in the sub to address that issue. Obviously, we're increasing the quantity that people can legally purchase. One of the things right now, if at home, you can have 10 ounces, but right now you can only buy 2.5 ounces at a time at a store. And our thought was, if you can have 10 at your house, why can't you buy 10 at the store and then take it to your house? So we make that the same here. We also created additional auditing provisions in Section 9G that allows CRA to have some teeth ensuring that products are sold here in Michigan, that they're tracked and they're accounted for in that metric system. We've also increased the fines for non-compliance, and in the rare scenario where a licensee just flat out refuses to comply with the CRA audit, that person has the ability now to lose their license and their eligibility for any future license. Again, we feel this audit is a key part to making sure that they are following the metric system that allows us to understand that they're doing everything within the legal framework. We are also taking a look at penalties in this space for those that are growing illegally. I want to acknowledge that Senator Moss and his team have been taking a look at fines specifically in their research. But as of today, there is a House bill that Representative Wenzel has put forward, which is 5105. This is in the Public Health Code, and I believe that her bill has the right balance to this, and so at this point in time, we're tie-barring this bill to that Wenzel bill because it has, I think, good provisions for fines. If we decide to have our own Senate version of a bill, we might swap that out and have a Senate version of that bill, but I wanted to let people know that I do believe fines for illicit activity is important, and because there's been a bill in the House that's made some progress, we've tie-barred it to that. And then, two other items that came from the industry as we've met with them. One is specifically, we heard from the wholesale community that currently right now within law, there is not a policy on how do you return product. And what we've been hearing from wholesalers that some people are returning product, weeks upon weeks and even months after they have received it. And so they've asked us to find a way to sort of deal with return product. And so what our bill basically does is that you have up to 3 days to return product, and it has to be in its original wrappings and original containers to get an automatic refund. But if there's an agreement between you and the wholesaler, you can do that at any time by written agreement. But we wanted to ensure that product moves accordingly. As you can imagine with marijuana flower especially, you don't want that to get mixed in with other products, and they're seeing some of that happening right now. So we addressed that issue that was brought to us. And then the wholesale community, and they're split, have also talked about cash on delivery like we have in the alcohol industry. They've said that they've had in many instances groups, they've given terms to groups, and because there isn't an ability to enforce those outside of the court process, that sometimes they haven't seen those payments happen in a timely fashion. And now that, especially next year when they are going to be required to pay quarterly payments on the wholesale tax, that they wanted to see something there. As I've talked to a variety of retailers, they were very concerned about that because most of them have some set of terms. And so our compromise in that space was to allow for terms of 30 days, so not an immediate cash on delivery, that if you break that 30-day piece and that wholesaler then can tell that to CRA, and CRA goes through their process, and if you've caught that you have not paid your bills, then you would go on a cash on delivery with a 1-day term. And that would be for a period of time. I don't know if we had said exactly.
Yeah, I think we were looking at 12 months.
We were looking at 12 months at that point in time, that anybody you bought from would be a cash on delivery of 1 day. but it also allows CRA to do a 10% penalty of what that invoice is, and if there is an ongoing situation, they can also suspend your license and potentially take away your license if it's an ongoing issue. And so that was something that we had heard specifically there, and so those are the items that we have put forward here in the substitute. I'm going to look to see, Chris, if there was anything that I missed. Okay. What I would like to do is, for any of you, I'd love to sit down with you. Would love for Derek Sova also to sit down with you. I do believe, as you know, we have to get to a 3/4 vote here. I don't believe we can go to another session and have some of these holes in our law that would now allow people to avoid paying taxes, especially since our tax system and our road funding is now based off of some of this, and would love to talk about all these issues. I will tell you right from the beginning that no one's going to come here and say, hey, Sam's got everybody on board. The association will like parts of this, they will not like parts of it. Even their membership within their association will come and say, well, we like this part and not that part. And as I've now spent over a year negotiating and talking to a lot of different groups, I feel like this is probably the best product we can get to. But I do want you to know that you'll hear from somebody who wants to tear down this piece and not do something for the overall good. And I understand that, but at the same time, I feel like getting something that can get 3/4 here in the Senate and the House is important. I want to acknowledge that we've been working very closely with Representative Joe Aragona, who has been leading this charge and to some degree has been working on this significantly longer than I have been. And I do think many of our issues are lining up. My hope, just to be very frank and open to the committee, is that we can get something out of this committee and out of the Senate that will then can be negotiated with the House. Again, knowing that everything requires a 3/4 vote on this type of items here. So I'll stop here, answer any questions, but I also look forward to any one-on-one meetings that you have, any minor changes you would like to have. We're open to everything. But like I said, I do believe we need to get this done this session and not kick the can down the road, especially because of some of the things that we're seeing in the industry today. So I'll stop there and answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.